All right, so it's budget week, and that means that today Jim Chalmers is set to hand down Labor's fourth budget of its first term. Now, I've had the misfortune of listening to Jim Chalmers talk about the budget more than any human should have to today, and I'm going to explain what he's saying so you don't have to. The main themes of this budget, according to the Treasurer, are balancing what he calls resilience, aka tackling inflation and protecting against instability in the world, and cost of living relief. Now, he's framing those as two competing themes or issues that the budget tries to tackle. He's saying things like subsidies to electricity prices of $150 for households is a way of giving cost of living relief. And then he's saying that other steps they're taking are trying to protect against instability in the world and make Australia's economy more resilient. We would say that the really, really critical thing that's being overlooked here by Jim Chalmers as Treasurer is something really powerful which can do both. It can fight inflation and keep the economy stable and deliver cost of living relief. And what is that? You guessed it, tax cuts. Sweeping tax reform to Australia's budget is what the Libertarians put first and foremost in our economic plan, and that is slashing income tax down to 20%, making it a flat income tax, getting rid of all bracket creep problems, as Raf Epstein said this morning on 774, the perfect tax system. We're also advocating for slashing excise across fuel, alcohol, tobacco. We know that the government's increases in those areas more than offset their stage 3 income tax cuts. And another interesting fact is that the stage 3 income tax cuts for families and for all Australians were basically nullified or erased in only 18 months of bracket creep, which is where tax brackets, basically people get pushed up in tax brackets through inflation. So I know that all sounds really nerdy. Unfortunately, you're going to have to listen to me talk about nerdy economic policy this week. It is budget week. There are a lot of other things in the budget that are interesting and are less numbers oriented that we'll be talking about through the week. We have a pretty good idea of what sorts of things will be in this budget because this budget is happening at a time where governments wouldn't normally be delivering budgets, and there's a lot of things that are going to be in this budget that have already been announced. But we'll be paying close attention to see if they've revised some figures down and whether there's anything new or interesting in this budget to report on. So in terms of a big budget breakdown, we're going to be doing the budget response, which will be the Libertarian Party's full detailed response not only to the budget, but to Peter Dutton's budget reply on Thursday. Now, all eyes are on Peter Dutton in a lot of ways. This is a budget response that he didn't originally think he would have to make, and there'll be a lot of pressure on him to come out with details about his nuclear costings, about where he's going to make cuts to not only the budget, but potentially immigration. And we'll be watching really closely and responding on Saturday at my campaign launch.
Authorised by S. Payton, Libertarian Party, Docklands, Victoria.